We love life. Okay.
Rise and shine.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we've got a really exciting video. I am so excited for this. I'm going to my first ever bookish event. I've never been to any book related event ever in my life, I don't think. And by that I mean like something with an author or a book con or anything like that. I've never been to one. So this is my first.
Look at us. Hey, look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
It's at my local Waterstones up here in Leeds, and we're gonna go get the book and talk to the author, and it's just gonna be a great experience, and I can't wait for you guys to come with me. I know all of you have probably been to like a billion book events, but like I said, this is my first. My Waterstones are actually holding a lot of bookish events soon that I want to go to. The whole of last year they didn't have a single one that I was like, yep, I want to go to that, but now they have 3. Including Leap, go. Subscribe if you want to watch that soon. So this event is with Jess Phillips and her book Truth to Power, 7 Ways to Call Time on BS. For those of you that don't know, Jess Phillips is an MP here in the UK. She's a Labour MP. She's had a lot of speeches where she stood up for everything right. She's had a lot of great speeches in the House of Commons. If you don't know who she is, I would really encourage you to Google her, look up some of her speeches in the House of Commons. She's a really inspirational woman, and she is really at the moment almost not single-handedly because everyone hates him, but she's doing a great job at calling BS on Boris Johnson. I've been a big fan of Jess Phillips for a very long time. Her book was actually the only book I read in 2017, Every Woman, her previous book, which I would definitely recommend you pick up if you haven't. I read it because I was doing an EPQ, which is kind of like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like an individual project you can take in the UK, which I didn't end up finishing. I quit. I was doing that about the way in which female MPs are represented differently in the media to male MPs, and her book was a really great insight into that and what she's been through as a female MP in the UK. So I'm so excited obviously to read this book, and it's crazy actually comparing what my reading life was like between her 2 books. You know, only read that book in 2017, and now this is going to be like close to the 60th book I read, I think, this year. So yeah, really excited for the event. My friend Elisa is coming with me. I don't know if she'll be on camera. And we're going to see how much of the event I can film. Obviously I don't want to film anything that I shouldn't. I don't know. Well, we shall see. And also I'm a bit scared. I am taking my camera into Leeds for the first time. And then I'll read the book and I'll give you a review at the end of this, and we'll all be super happy and loving our lives. Okay, bye.
But what I would say with regard to speaking truth to power is you have to be very good at storytelling, and telling the story of what is wrong is really important. And so it's not enough just to say I'm cross at this because. Politics has much more become about being able to say why we're upset about something. Where's that from? It also matches the book as well.
Yeah. Oh wait, I think it's like not focused.
That's fine.
Okay. Sorry. This is a big responsibility.
Hello, so I just got back from the event. It was really good. I filmed a few bits, but I don't know, they're not very good, because there was a guy in the front row that if his head was straight, like a normal person who isn't obstructed, I could have seen her, fine. But then if he just had his head like this the entire time, so I couldn't. I got the book. It's actually really short, so it won't take me long to read. And I got it signed, Megan, Fight the Power, Jess Phillips. She was really nice. She was really funny in the talk. And then when we met her, when we got it signed, she was really nice. She complimented me on my top. But then, like, I didn't do very well at talking to her. Which usually I'm quite good at, stuff like that. But today just wasn't my day. But also I guess it's difficult, like, with stuff like that, the same thing's been said to me like a billion times, but I should have just like gone for it anyway. You know when you regret? Like I knew what I wanted to say to her, I knew what I wanted to say, how like her book was the only book I read in 2017, how great it was, how excited I'm to read this, but I didn't. I just stood there like, and then the camera wasn't working well. Oh, it was bad. But anyway, she was lovely, so it's fine. I like the yellow. I'm matching, kind of. And yeah, super excited to give this a read, and I will update you on what I think of it once I have. It is now Wednesday. We went to the event on Monday. Yesterday I was at uni 10 till 6-ish. So when I came home, I just made dinner and went to sleep. I'm gonna start reading it now. As you can see, I don't know if you can tell how small it is. Like, let me get another book to compare it to, but then I'm not gonna be able to. Okay, we'll do it at the angle. So this is the 7 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. So, I mean, that's your comparison. Do you see what I mean? I don't know. It's not really showing up. Okay, whatever. But looking through it, I feel like I'm going to read it so fast. If you're looking for non-fiction recommendations that you can read quickly, if I like this, and I think this is going to be a good recommendation. I do like the cover, like how simple it is, but then in some ways it looks like an arc to me. Do you know what I mean? I've got about 20 minutes to read now. 20 minutes, half an hour, and then I'm going to the book club at my university. My mum ran a book club with all our like family friends and her friends when I was like 13, 14 that I went to. But I've never been to like a proper externally run book club. So I'm nervous. I tweeted about how nervous I was because I'm so nervous. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see if I end up going more than once. I'm listening to The Picture of Dorian Gray right now, which is next week's book for it. And I'm quite enjoying that actually. I'm probably like an hour and a half in to that. So yes, but anyway, this is about this, and I'm gonna go sit down and give it a read now. We love life! Okay. Rise and shine. This is on my camera's mic because I can't be asked to turn my camera on, but apologies in advance for how bright the last clip was. I can't be bothered to film it again because I have no time, but she was overexposed. Anyway. Okay, bye. So I just read to page 29, so I read 20 pages because it starts on page 9. That was 18 minutes of reading for reference, but like I was texting my mum and some group chats a lot in that, so probably more like 10 minutes of reading. So, I mean, as you can see, that's what the pages look like. So you just go, you know, fly through it. I need to shut my phone up. It's really interesting. I've just read the intro and now I'm on the first chapter. Basically, I think my impression of it from hearing her talk and from starting reading it is that in each chapter she's going to interview one or a few people who have done amazing things and created amazing change. So one is a woman who lived in Grenfell Tower and has been campaigning for safety, I think, living in tower blocks since. The one that I'm reading in this chapter is a young woman named Zelda who was Harvey Weinstein's assistant like 20 years ago, and she confronted him after her assistant told her that he tried to rape her, and she confronted him. I know roughly the story of it, but this chapter I think goes into depth and it has an interview with her. So if that is something you'd be interested in learning more about, then that's what the chapter's about. Just to show you as well, as I haven't showed you, the actual book just looks like that, like really simple. Yeah, and then it's got the yellow sleeve over it. I'm excited to read more. I didn't read a lot, obviously, because I'm going out to the book club. I didn't have a lot of time. Maybe when I get to page 100-ish, I'll let you know what I'm thinking at that point. Hello! I'm just checking back in. Oh, that's blue. Let's stand under the nice orange light. I'm just checking back in. I'm just making dinner in my pajamas. We're having enchiladas. I know, so exciting. I am halfway through the book now. I haven't done a lot of reading across the last couple of days. I don't actually know what day I last checked in with you. I'm gonna finish it tonight, hopefully. I know I said I'm halfway through, but it really will not take me long to read. The other case studies we've covered, like in detail, are Tom Watson, who is he's deputy leader of Labour, and he was part of uncovering the scandals at News International in the UK, or if you've heard of News of the World. They were hacking phones, essentially. They hacked like a girl who had been murdered. They hacked her phone as though her parents thought she was still alive because she was listening to messages. They hacked so many people's phones, and it was a really big scandal, and he was part of uncovering that. She's also spoken to people who run, who are part of Grenfell United, who are victims of the disaster at Grenfell, which, if you don't know, 72 people died at a tower block fire in London, I think about 2 years ago. And yeah, just their work and what they've been doing to push the government to do the actions they need. What is really great about the book is she's found a really good way to seamlessly pass between these people's stories and also telling us the actionable steps we can do. So in the Grenfell case, she was talking about having a plan, because if you go in, you know, angry about something or upset about something, about issue you want to change, if you don't have a plan, like, you're not going to achieve anything, because you can't force the other side to do what you want them to do. And then the bit I've just been reading, she's been talking about looking at what a company or a government, what they say about themselves, and then using their own words against them in what you want them to change, right? So she was having an example of a legislative in one state in America, I think it was Missouri. They had only one representative who wasn't white, but a big chunk of their population weren't white. And so the argument is, like, who are the people with no voice then? Because you're not representing your population even sufficiently at all. So yeah, it's really interesting, like a super quick read. If you're looking for a non-fiction book that is like, boom, I'm done, like, this is it. Like, it's such a small, quick read that, yeah, I would definitely recommend it. And I'll talk probably about this a bit more at the end, but I think it's such an important book in the political climates in the UK and America at the moment. You know, I think, although it's a UK book, UK MP, I think it's equally as relevant to people in America. And so I would definitely recommend it if you're in America as well. I'll talk more about everything at the end once I've read it. I think that'll be the next time I check in, so I'll see you in a bit once I've eaten my enchiladas. So I finished this morning and I give it 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I feel like because it is so small, I mean, look, it's tiny, it's like 220 pages. It's just like a little pocket book of wisdom. I feel like because it's so small, it's difficult for me to get 5 stars because I didn't have loads of time with it to go, oh my god, this changed my life. But did I love it? Yes. Yes, I did. So I really recommend this if you are interested in activism at all, if you're interested in making a change in your local community, in your country, in your state, if you're in America, because it really, like I was saying in the last clip, it gives you really actionable plans, and it carried on doing that throughout the whole book. It's also a very inspirational book. If you come across difficulty, you'll come across setbacks in activism, you'll come across people telling you to shut up, then, you know, this gives you a way to cope with that and to move past it and forwards. Regardless also if you want to go into activism or not, being politically minded, at least politically aware, is becoming increasingly needed and necessary, particularly in the UK and the US, which obviously, the reason I'm saying that is I know most of my audience is from the UK or US, but in all countries, it's so important that we are educated politically. And I think this gives us, even if we don't want to do activism, right, even if you don't want to do that, it gives you a want to bring about change somehow, or be aware of what change needs to be brought about so you can support those activist movements, right? So it spoke a lot about the changing of the law, abortion law in Ireland. If you don't know, it was illegal for women in Ireland to have abortions, and so many would travel over to the UK in order to get an abortion, and obviously that's very distressing. And there was a case of a woman who died because she requested an abortion because she had a miscarriage that went wrong, and so she knew she was going to die if she didn't have an abortion, but they said no. And so she passed away from complications in the pregnancy. That's what kind of sparked the movement. It talked a lot about that and how they gave people really clear aims and actions. You know, if you're going to be an activist, you've got to mobilise people and you've got to give them shit to do, and you've got to give them directions to follow. And that's something that campaign did really well, for example. So in that case, like, if we're not in Ireland, we can't necessarily be as directly involved, or could have been directly involved in the activism, right? But you can support it and you can be aware, and it's definitely made me want to keep being aware of everything that's going on around the world and keep educating myself. So if you're looking for non-fiction to pick up, and you don't usually pick up a lot of non-fiction, especially if you live in the UK or US, I really recommend this because it's so short. You're not going to have the issue of like, oh, non-fiction takes me ages to read, because this won't take you ages to read. And I think it's really, A, because it's so new, and B, because it's such an important topic. I think it's really relevant to so many of our lives and societies and cultures today. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Jess Phillips is incredible. So that was all from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know it was a little bit different, so if you stuck around to the end, I love ya. Yeah, I know it was a bit different, and this video won't be for everyone, but we will be returning with normally scheduled content of like booktube popular stuff soon. But this obviously, you know, Jess Phillips and her work and her books are just something that's really close to my heart, and getting to meet her, even though I fucked it up, was you know, a really great opportunity that I wanted to have on here. So I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know down below if you're interested in this book or any non-fiction books like it. If you have any other recommendations, I would love to know, and I will see you very, very soon. Bye!